Okay, good morning. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Michael Wang. I'm represent Boston Global Youth Philanthropy. We're a small nonprofit. Our mission is connect young people, next generation, into the humanitarian field. So I want to first thank to everybody in this room and also online, support us to make this event possible. This is GYP second year to join the HNPW. Today we got several distinguished guests come here, so really appreciate. This event is co-hosted by Boston Global Youth Philanthropy and Next Humanitarian, used to be called USSG. So today is supposed to be, we co-host this, but several of my friends in Next Humanitarian, for some reason, they did not make up the trip to Geneva this year. So today I will co-host with one of our distinguished students, Tiffany Lee. Tiffany will be my co-host. Like most of our events were organized and hosted by our student. So today is special event. I want to start in little bit of special way. When we prepare this event, we contact quite a few diversified people. We invite them to come to become our guest speaker. There are two person very special. One person is in Sudan. This gentleman sent me the video, but I don't know whether he's in. Oh, George, he's here. I wanna let me see whether he can say hi to us. Hello, George. Are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I have your.
Hey,
Oh, great. Hello.
thank you.
So, how are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Yeah. So you are one of my distinguished guests today. So thank you very much for your support. Yeah, I have your video probably, but if you're here, can you just say a few words to us?
Okay, so I maybe without the video, or you want me to say now?
Yeah, either way, you can just say a few words. I quickly, I think your video is very good. Presentation is very powerful. So it makes it simple. You just say a few words. So I just play the video.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to recognize every one of you. I believe this is a room of very inspiring minds as I have tried to come up to think about it. It's just unfortunate that I was not able to make it to Geneva today, this year. But thankfully, I am able to join you online. My name is George Omer Nalo, the founder and executive director of Education in Crisis. We created the organization 2019 out of experience of living without having access to education. And so today we're having more than 300 children from two that we started with in 2020. At the moment, I am in Sudan, and I think you all know the situation, or some of you might know the situation that is happening in Sudan. Sudan is now the world's worst education humanitarian catastrophe, which is unfolding every time. 2 years of war now. We will be having a lot of stories to hear in times to come. But at the moment, we are here and we are the ones in front line. And that's why this event hosted by the Global Youth Philanthropy is something that we believe that this is one way of the platform to advocate for the joining of the Sudanese youth in a humanitarian front lines, like now what we are doing. So I want to thank you so much for making it to this day, and thank you also for this day, for this kind of opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, he sent me a recording. This one. Okay. So just quickly play this.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is George Omer Nalo, the Executive Director of Education in Crisis, an organization founded in 2019 based in Arusha, Tanzania, but operates in 5 African countries. Today, I am honored to join you at the Humanitarian Networks and Partnerships Week at Geneva, surrounded by inspiring minds, ready to shape the future and make the world a better place. Our theme, empowering youth in humanitarian action, is not just a call to action. It is a recognition of the transformative power of young people, how much they hold such kind of power to make this world a better place. Empowerment of youth does not merely mean access. Empowerment of youth means giving them opportunities, giving them the right tools, giving them the trust that they are freely able to innovate for the solutions that need the future that needs the solutions today. Shining the light on Sudan, where we are based at the moment, it is not easy to share what is really in front line in Sudan. Some of you might know, some of you not. The war is now heading to 2 years, which started in April 15, 2023, putting up to 19 million children out of school today. Over 24,000 schools lost. This is what we are doing now to ensure that amidst the crisis, the armed conflict, the humanitarian crisis, the world's worst humanitarian crisis, we are in it. So for now, we are delivering this to ensure that every child accesses education. We need your solidarity. We need your mentorship. We need this kind of opportunities given to us by the Global Youth Philanthropy. Thank you so much for giving us this kind of tools and the platforms, and we hope that you continue to be with us and to stand with us in solidarity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George. I think he's make a very powerful statement. He said empowering youth in humanitarian action is not just a call for action, but it's a recognition of a transformative power of youth they own to make a better world. I think it's a very, very, very powerful statement. So I like this. And during our preparation, we contact some, our people registration on our database. There's another gentleman in Yemen. We try to contact very diversified, wide range of people. One gentleman in Yemen, in refugee camp, and he is very interested to join our session. But originally I asked him to make a video, but he explained to me there's some kind of safety concern. So he said can I join without disclose my name? I said no problem. This gentleman probably online right now, but I don't want to call his name. But he write something here. So I let Tiffany to read his, writing. So just, have a sense to how he feel. Okay.
All right, thank you. So he's left for us here like sort of a list of key messages. So in terms of digital innovation as a lifeline, he says, in Yemen, platforms like the broadcasting of new generation empower displaced youth to advocate for rights, share climate resilience strategies, and challenge stereotypes, proving that technology can amplify silenced voices even in conflict zones. In terms of education beyond borders, he says programs like the Youth Space Initiative provide digital literacy and leadership training to 1,000+ displaced youth, transforming them from beneficiaries to decision makers in humanitarian responses. And in terms of climate action as protection, he says refugee-led activities such as solar-led energy installations in displacement camps demonstrate how environmental situations can reduce vulnerability and foster self-reliance. As a call to action, he says that we should invest in refugee-led tech hubs and fund digital tools co-designed by displaced youth to bridge gaps in education and advocacy. In terms of decolonizing participation, he urges to create safe, anonymous channels for marginalized youth to shape policies without risking their safety, and to recognize climate justice as refugee justice, to integrate displacement into global climate agendas, ensuring adaptation plans and center those that are the most affected. And as a closing statement, he says, when we empower displaced youth, not as victims, but as innovators, we unlock situations no institution can design alone. Thank you.
Great. So let me also introduce, actually can be our co-host, Kito. He's one of a representative from USSG, Next Humanitarian, but for some reasons, we had several friends, for some reason they cannot make this, but Kito have another session to host, but he come here. So do you want to say a few words? Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Kiato. I'm here at HNPW representing the Next Humanitarians, which has been working very closely with Global Youth Philanthropy to really empower and bring different voices into the room. I did arrive a little late. I was coming from a session we hosted this morning on the future trends and innovations in the humanitarian sector, which had a very interesting and mind-blowing discussion that went way over time. And then we also have another session run by some students out of Tilburg happening right now, a humanitarian simulation that is happening at the same time as this, where we have two very engaged students who are studying a variety of topics at Tilburg University are engaging an audience in a simulation that they are running, which is a very cool way to engage. But I'm very happy to be here with Michael. And last year we had some very interesting speakers from Global Youth Philanthropy in the online week. I'm very happy to see some here this week and happy to be participating with some of them later on Thursday when I think it's Lucy is joining online as well to share some of their insights working in the humanitarian and philanthropic field.
Yeah, Thursday morning, we have USSG have another session called Voice of the Next Humanitarian. So, everybody welcome to join. So we have a team from our people will go there to make a presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, so on Thursday, the voices will have 4 speakers from the next generation of humanitarians who are sharing their passions, their work that they've been doing all over the world. And especially at HNPW, where we're always talking about things like inclusion, we're talking about the future, we're talking about things like localization, right? What's more local than getting youth from different quarters and different areas to really bring all of that together?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think I should, let my co-host Tiffany to manage the meeting. Primarily, we're youth organization. So in our event, we got a lot organized and hosted by our distinguished young student. So Tiffany, you wanna?
All right, so my name is Tiffany Lee, and I'm the chairperson in Boston GYP's current student board, and I've been with this program for more than 3 years. And just as a brief introduction, Boston GYP is an educational nonprofit focusing on connecting youth with humanitarian fields and allowing them to work on their own initiatives and to generally give them a platform to expand their interest in humanitarianism. And so the session is co-hosted by Boston Youth Global Youth Philanthropy, and the Next Humanitarians Network, which was previously called USSG. Previously, we were going to have Alex Koenu from Tilburg University, who's the lead person for the Next Humanitarians Network. Unfortunately, Alex did not make the trip to Geneva at the last minute this year, but he will hopefully be joining us online today. So, Alex, if you're here, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, Alex, are you online?
Yes, of course.
Oh, great. Do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, happily. So I'll begin that, yeah, it's a shame I couldn't join in person, but I'm looking forward to the exciting topics which you'll bring. Thank you for making this possible. And yeah, I'm glad to see the topic of more the youth being further pushed and explored, especially with regard to the sustainable trends.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Alex. So moving on, our session title is Empowering Youth in Humanitarian Action, explaining more about digital innovation for youth engagement in humanitarian careers and environmental training. So it's more of a continuing of our discussion last year at this HNPW session under the title of How to Engage Youth in Humanitarian Fields. So today's session will mainly follow this agenda. So first we'll have some guest speakers who will be sharing their unique perspectives in terms of youth in humanitarian work. And then for our second part, we'll have some GYP students to introduce some of the projects and initiatives that they have been working on. And for the last part, I urge everyone here to save their questions for this part where we'll have a discussion and a more free Q&A. So would you like to?
Go ahead. Let's
Okay.
start. Yeah.
So yeah, moving on to our guest speakers. First, we'll have Mr. Thomas Peter, who is part of the Emergency Response Section in the UN Office of Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. So yeah, take it away.
Thank you. And welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I'm working in the United Nations for quite a while already, and I'm also organizing the HNPW for 10 years. This is the 11th time we do this. And I want to thank the Global Youth Philanthropy for inviting me to speak here. And I want also to congratulate the Next Humanitarians Network for the work they do for the years, because you have been a standing partner for very long in the HNPW, opening up and taking the opportunity and presenting opportunities to the young students. I've been asked to share a few ideas for those who are in the line of finalizing their studies or wanting to now enter into the humanitarian world. First of all, I think everybody of you knows it's an interesting field of work. There are lots of activities, lots of interesting activities in different domains, in different sectors that you can choose from. You work with different cultures, you work with different people, you work with different societies, and it is a constantly dynamically changing environment. So that's an interesting start off. However, it is a very challenging environment as well, physically and psychologically. If you want to engage in helping people who are in humanitarian need, be it to catastrophes, to disasters, or to war situations, that's not everybody's piece of cake, let's say. So you have to be prepared for this, and it comes with a lot of commitment and sacrifice also for the humanitarian workers. However, it's a very rewarding activity as well, because first of all, you help others. And again, it might not always be the case that you instantly see the benefits of your support. And sometimes it's actually frustrating because you can't help as much as you want. But you work with interesting people, you work with nice teams, and you are, as we heard already, engaged in creative projects and can actively shape the future for humanitarian work. So that's a very rewarding aspect of our work. Now, today, in the last few months, the humanitarian landscape has suffered a little bit or is still suffering from a financial crisis, we can say. So it is very difficult for many to find jobs, and for many projects being shut down. And for those of you who have studied and preparing to enter this world in a professional way, that might be sort of disillusional a little bit. However, what I can say, don't become pessimistic, remain optimistic, because the world, as we know, history goes in waves. There's always a slack time, and then there's again a peak time, and this will go away. We don't know when, we hope soon. And then there will be again more opportunities opening up. So just keep on the boat and make sure that you don't lose your optimism and remain encouraged. So when I talk to how can you engage, I mean, I'm sure many of you have thought this through, and you probably have networks, and I think these U2 networks are providing a lot of support to students. But just saying, I think, first of all, it's good to engage, and the Partnership Week is one example of engaging. Not that you make any big milestones here when you talk to someone, but you first of all understand the diversity of activities and actors who are playing in the humanitarian field. It's not only United Nations agencies or NGOs or governments or others. It's really a vast amount of different actors whom you can experience, and these are not even all of them. So that's one thing. Then again, when you want to engage, don't be too selective in one particular region or one particular activity, because that might constrain your choice of engagements. And one thing, I think it was mentioned, and I think we heard this from the colleague from Yemen and also from George earlier. You have to be passionate about something, one thing or several things, and become an expert in this area, because that helps. If you only want to become a humanitarian because you want to do humanitarian work, that's sometimes not good enough as a start, and want to approach agencies and you just ask for a job and if there's an opening, etc. That is not the best way to start with, and I can tell you from my own experience. But if someone comes who is engaged in a project and he engages in a dialogue about the project, and this person engages in a dialogue about the project and actually has some expertise in this, wants to learn something, etc., and is passionate about it, and the more you engage in these kind of activities, you're more knowledgeable and more expert you become in this field, the more it adds to your repertoire and your credibility also to be hired. So that's a little market aside that might help you a little bit in your choices. And then, of course, there are many avenues that you can choose. Of course, not all of them are well paid. Voluntary work, we have a few volunteers here helping us at this event. Of course, the activity is not humanitarian, what they're doing out there. You see that they are registering people who come into the event. But we give them the opportunity to network with the agencies. And I think this is the bigger advantage for this voluntary work here. It's not about the physical activity, which is more logistics or administrative, but actually to meet these many players who are at the Partnership Week. And then you can also, of course, apply for internships. That's a little more challenging because in our case, from the United Nations, we see that the list of interns is very long, and there are many on the waiting list, and it's also sometimes not easy to find a post there. And then we heard this already, there's a lot of activities going on in the remote and virtual environment. And there maybe you have opportunities to engage much further to support projects, to support meetings, to support exercises, even be it as a note taker or someone who is managing some let's say, injects or scenario developments in an exercise. This can be done remotely most of the time, and it doesn't cost much because it's only your time, and you engage yourself in a real scenario. You become recognized as an expert who is helping, and also you develop your skills and you understand much better the environment in which you operate. So that is a good thing. I'm not saying that's the only thing, but that's a thing you might want to consider. And there are many avenues to find out what's going on. And that's also what you can maybe see and explore with the different actors that you can meet online or at the HNPW here or in your other areas. So with this, I want to close and hope that was at all a little helpful from my side. I'm very happy again that what the work you're doing, and it's very important, I think. And I thank you again for inviting me here to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give my personal appreciation to Mr. Thomas Peter. He's the first person I contact, like 2 years ago to contact to join HNPW. I think this is a wonderful platform. And I want to really appreciate, your support for these 2 years. He's like our mentor, for this process. Last year, we only organized an online session, but this year we got a team come here. So really appreciate all of your support and help. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next, we'll have Tina Alkori, who is a project coordinator for the UN Environmental Program and also the UN Office of Coordination for Humanitarian Affairs. So next, we'll have her presentation. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, colleagues and future humanitarian leaders. My name is Tina Al-Khouri. I'm the Localization of Environment and Humanitarian Action Project Coordinator with the UNEP OCHA Joint Environment Unit. I'm honored to be here today to introduce this unique unit, the UNEP OCHA Joint Environment Unit, which is really a unique partnership between 2 UN agencies and 2 fields of humanitarian work that are coming together in this unit. Also, I will showcase some of our available resources, which might be of interest to future humanitarians, especially the ones interested in the sustainability field. Those resources focus mainly on innovation and trainings and capacity building for environmental sustainability. So the UNEP OCHA Joint Environment Unit, we are a joint initiative combining the UN Environmental Program with the OCHA, the Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, where we bring together the technical expertise on environmental sustainability and climate change related issues from the UN environmental programs perspective to combine them with the OCHA's response and coordination efforts. So what does that mean? We work on 2 work streams, one related to environmental emergencies. This involves training environmental experts, coordination their deployment, and supporting them during deployment for environmental emergencies. So we support any country affected by an emergency in assessing the environmental impacts of these emergencies and proposing mitigation measures to reduce the negative impacts. We have so far done over 250 missions in 100 countries. And this covers the first work stream. The second work stream is the sustainability of humanitarian action. So we do policy review and coordination. We do guided learning, which is what I will focus on today as available training resources for future humanitarians. We also have a wide range of tools, such as the Nexus Environmental Assessment Tool, the NEED+, the FEED, and the VEHA. And those are tools available to support humanitarians to integrate environmental sustainability in their work. And finally, we have the Environment and Humanitarian Action Network, which is a network that brings together environmental experts working in humanitarian fields from several organizations and give them the opportunity to collaborate and to work together to improve humanitarian response. So when it comes to environmental trainings, we try to be more innovative in the way we deliver trainings. So these are the 4 elements we try to focus on. First, online training and gamification. So of course, online trainings isn't something new, but recently and since COVID, of course, it became more popular and more in demand, but we're trying to add a gamification element to it. So on our website, there are 5 available trainings, online trainings that are open source and anyone can take them, and you will get a certification from the Joint Environment Unit that cover a wide range of topics. Some of them are specific, for example, disaster waste management or introduction to Flash Environmental Assessment Tool. You learn a specific tool that you can use. or more generic courses if you're interested in the topic in general. So for example, beyond response, how to prepare better for response and to integrate in environmental emergencies, and environment and humanitarian action, so you can get a general overview of what that means. So in these trainings, we have a lot of scenario-based gamification options, so it's easier to follow the training and makes it more user-friendly. Next, we have localization or contextualization element. So trainings in general, it's easier to have one training and deliver it to several people in different sessions, in different contexts, but sometimes that's not as effective as contextualizing or changing the training to fit exactly the audience you're delivering the training for. So we have developed this global training template. It's a training template of 11 technical modules plus one training of trainers module. And these modules each include a facilitator's guide and a PowerPoint slide deck. And we offer this as an open source to any organization, individual, government entity to use it. And they are advised on how you can contextualize this training and make it your own. So make it specific to your context, whether you have local regulation or standards related to environmental standards, whether you have specific impacts of climate change in your country that you need to focus on rather than talking about climate change in general. So this template is also available. It's an open source and anyone can use it. And you don't have to use all 12 modules. You can choose the modules that are relevant to your work. And that's also where the flexibility of the template shows. So yeah, as mentioned, each one has a facilitator guide plus presentation template. In addition, we have a glossary of key environmental humanitarian action terms, which might be useful for someone who's getting into the field of environment and humanitarian action to know these key relevant terms. And the last point on innovation in trainings, we have networks. So of course, being here as part of the HNPW, we have the Environment and Humanitarian Action Network. And this is one of the key networks of the HNPW. The EHAN network was established in 2013. It is managed by the Joint Environment Unit and endorsed by several organizations with more than 200 member organizations. And we're proud now to have the Global Youth Philanthropy as one of the member organizations. So the idea behind this network is to bring together expertise and knowledge on environment and humanitarian action. So members come together, they share their experiences, they share their available resources, their available tools and guidelines, so we can learn from each other's experiences. And if there are any success stories, we can maybe try to duplicate that with our work. And then if there are any lessons learned, maybe we can avoid any mistakes. So this kind of network is available, and we have a session on Thursday from 11 to 5:30. Where a lot of member organizations will showcase their project and their work. And also the Global Youth Philanthropy will be one of the participants, and they will tell us a bit more about their work during this session. So this is it for me, but I'm happy to take some questions later. If you need the links also to all the available tools, I'm happy to share them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So next we'll have Dr. Amjad Salim from the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. So he's the orchestrator for strategic engagement on youth peace and fundamental principles, leading the International Federation of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent Societies work on peace building and promotion of fundamental principles. And he's also tasked with the coordination of the Big Six Alliance, which is an alliance of the world's oldest and largest youth networks, and its flagship initiative, the Global Youth Mobilization. So yeah, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to share a few words. It's a real pleasure to be here to listen to sort of the discussions that are going on, and it's a timely conversation as well. I think we're in a time of extreme flux at the moment and great uncertainty. And, you know, it's always important to stand back and reflect. So I'm going to maybe step back a little bit and sort of give some insights into some of the lessons needed to when we talk about empowering young people in humanitarian actions. For those of you who don't know, the International Federation for the Red Cross Red Crescent Societies, we are the secretariat for the 191 National Red Cross Red Crescent Societies across the world. And so we manage the work to do with the National Red Cross Red Crescent Societies. We have 14 million volunteers around the world. Half of them are under the age of 30, so we have significant youth constituency. And as a consequence of that, we are also, as was mentioned, part of something called the Big Six youth organizations. That's us, the Girl Guides, the Scouts, the World YMCA, the World YWCA, and the Duke of Edinburgh International Awards. And we collectively reach about 250 million young people across the world. And we have a specific initiative called the Global Youth Mobilization, where we give funds to young people to do projects on the ground. So what I will probably share as part of my lessons or things to think about is coming from that perspective. And also the IFRC co-chairs the Compact for Young People in Humanitarian Action, along with UNFPA, that came out of the World Humanitarian Summit in 2016. So there's a lot of kind of things there that sort of influence what I want to share with you today in terms of some key points to think about when you think about young people or empowering young people in humanitarian action. And then the first one is probably the concept of narrative. It's very easy to talk about young people and group young people as a holistic group. They're homogeneous. And we know that that's not true. Young people are heterogeneous in how they are. And so if we don't understand that heterogeneity when we come to talk about young people, I think that there's a great problem that we have in terms of how we then address solutions with young people. Part of that is also the narrative that we use when we talk about young people. We always sort of say young people are the future. And that means that we're giving them opportunity to do something later, not now. And so the concept of how do we look at, when we talk about young people, that they are creators of solutions today, and recognizing that they are creators of solutions today is quite important. And then when we recognize that they are creators of solutions today, there's other things that come with that. One is that they have to be given a space at the table to be able to articulate those ideas of what change can be. Those ideas for change can be different to how we look at it, but they're ideas. And those ideas have some validity, particularly if they come from contexts where those young people are coming from. With the Global Youth Mobilization, that's precisely what we do. We ask people, tell us a problem in your community, tell us a solution that you think you might have to address that. And we're happy to then give you some support to actually get the solution done. So the idea is that you have that seat at the table, you have those ideas to do things, and then you have someone willing to support you in that. But it's not just the financial support, it's also the accompaniment, it's also the tools, it's also the mentoring, the coaching, the peer exchange, a lot of what George said in his video. But that brings us to a particular challenge, and I think that's my second point, which is our business model as humanitarians and the humanitarian sector doesn't really allow us to work at that level of granularity. Imagine that you get, and we've got this now, we've got 10,000 applications of young people who want to make a change in their communities. One, we don't have the funds to support 10,000. So we have to bring it down to maybe 1,000. But even when we're talking about 1,000, we're talking about not funding them hundreds of thousands of dollars, not even thousands of dollars, maybe a couple of hundred. So a couple of $100, which you might think is actually not a bad thing, except our systems don't allow us to transfer couple of $100s to multiple donors. It's easy for us to transfer millions of dollars to countries. But when we start to say we have 400 projects here, each of them between $100 to $200 in 17 different countries, our financial systems start to creak, and you can see the smoke emerging because they can't handle that. They can't handle that. And what do you mean you're giving $100 to someone in Nigeria? Can you trust them? Why can't we trust them? Because they're young people, they have ideas, they want to do things. So the idea of a business model that is actually built on it's a 19th century infrastructure business model that is operating with a 20th century mindset that is trying to address 21st century needs. I think we need to rethink that. And so if we really want to kind of think about what this new business model looks like with young people and to empower young people, it is around co-creating with young people. It is around co-leading with young people. And this is why I appreciate the co-facilitation today. It is recognizing that it's an intergenerational dialogue in that space. So it's not just leaving young people by themselves or the old people by themselves, but creating a space where there's an intergenerational dialogue. But it's also intersectional because we're not homogeneous. And then there are roles for young people, and that's my third point. There are roles for young people that we understand. And one of it, of course, is to be an agent of change. That's there. But young people can also be the architects of that change. So how do we create a space for that type of developing and conceptualizing, co-creating ideas? How can we give a space to become an advocate? How can we give a space to be an amplifier of those voices? And how can we give a space for them to anchor that change? And so I think we really need to start thinking slightly differently about this. Young people have to be given a space at the table. If they're not given a space at the table, they will build their own table, and they will proceed. We've seen this. We've seen this in the Fridays for the Future forums. We've seen this with all the climate activism that we're seeing, where young people are effectively telling us we don't really trust the multilateral systems anymore. We want to do our own things. Time and time again, young people are telling us this. You're too bureaucratic. You just don't engage. You don't listen to us. And so we will create our own things. So I think if we really want to kind of have that space to empower, then we need to be able to be open to those kind of discussions and those thinking and to rethink our business model and to be open to have that. You know, currently, as Thomas was saying, we are facing a huge challenge in the international sector, right? Where our funds and our ways of operating are being stretched. And for many of us, it's a challenge. But as some people say, within a challenge comes an opportunity. And perhaps here's an opportunity for us to rethink what this looks like. And this is where I'm really excited that there are folks here who might be able to help us to rethink and to reassess what a new form of humanitarian action could look like with, by, and for young people. I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So next we're going to have Anna Bilashapka from the Spivdia Charity Foundation in Ukraine. And the vision of this foundation is to help youth and all Ukrainians to realize their potential through collaboration and to explore their interests in humanitarianism. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a great honor for me to represent the Spivdia Charity Foundation and share our experience in engaging youth in humanitarian action in Ukraine. Actually, our foundation created because of the full-scale invasion, and since the beginning, we have witnessed an incredible mobilization of youth people. They have become volunteers, coordinators, and even initiators of aid to provide it for those who need. And at Spivdia, actually, we launched big network of youth that I was ready to react from the very beginning. And right now, these people also providing services. They are helping others to provide food packages, to deliver it, to come to the front line. And I would say that for nowadays, youth is also one of the biggest members of defenders of Ukraine. So through our effective collaboration also with Ministry of Youth and Sport in Ukraine, we have engaged over 2,000 youth people as a volunteers and provided assistance for now to more than 3.5 million Ukrainians. And I would mention that around 40% of them are youth. So we are not talking about youth as the beneficiaries, but we are talking about youth as the people who are first ready to help and to provide the hand to others. And this was made possible because from this first day, our network of humanitarian hubs was based on the youth centers, because Ukraine has really big network of youth centers and it's great infrastructure where youth and all people can get access to services that they really could be needed because of the war. We firmly believe that also youth are not just recipients of humanitarian aid, but the drivers of change. Today, Ukraine faces extraordinary challenges, and we see young people actively participating also in the country's recovery. Ukraine is committed to integrating youth into all aspects of national reconstruction and is developing mechanisms to ensure that their participation in decision-making at both local and national levels. But at the same time, I would say that international organizations and civil society play a crucial role in this process, and they can share experience and best practices in youth policy and recovery efforts, provide not just financial aid, but even more important technical support for youth initiatives, and of course, promote the international integration of Ukrainian youth, helping them gain new knowledge in order to adapt international context into Ukraine in future. Also, I'd like to mention that today's humanitarian challenges require innovative solutions and a proactive approach. And it's not enough to simply respond to crisis. We must create conditions where youth are prepared to tackle them. That is why we are actively implementing some digital tools that make humanitarian aid and services more accessible and efficient for young people today. War has undeniably changed the lives of Ukrainian youth, but with the right support, the generation has the potential to lead Ukraine's renewal, bringing innovation, resilience, and hope to a country that is fighting for its future. So we look forward for a cooperation. We are here for next day and would be happy to have conversation with all of you and to share more specific stories of Ukrainian youth and our project in Ukraine. I would like just to add from myself also that, so I'm also a youth, and from the very beginning, I took the responsibility to build the organization together with my colleagues that are really needed right now. So I believe that each of youth in the world have this empowerment internally to be the change and to drive the changes in your country, in your communities, and in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to all of our guest speakers for their insightful words. Next, we'll move on to part 2 of our session, which is going to be some student presentations from Global Youth Philanthropy. And would you like to introduce?
Yeah, I just want to share some thought. We schedule this session. We give more time to our guest speaker. The reason is, for our team, we want to learn. We feel the learn is more important. But we have, a few outstanding students. They have been in youth humanitarian project for quite a while, and they pretty much, start their project. So today we only schedule, not long. Each person have 3 minutes. They can make a very long presentation, but today, we have this. We come here to learn. Is learning from professional world is first priority. So, but they're very outstanding. They all have their own project. Today we got primarily 2 projects. So each student only make a 3 minutes presentation. But in the future, in the next few months, they're going to continue to do this humanitarian project. we probably organize a longer presentation, put on YouTube, our channel, and after a few months, they're going to finish their project. They're going to write an essay, and we're going to publish in GYP yearbook. So this is a long process. But today, each will only make a very short presentation, kind of a like announcement for their, so far their project.
All right, so I'm just going to briefly introduce our students who are going to be making presentations. So they're primarily split into two groups. So the first group is going to be speaking on digital innovation for youth engagement in humanitarian careers. And here we have Emily Gu from Lillian Osborne in Edmonton in Canada, Ethan Gu from Old Scone Academic in Edmonton, Canada. And lastly, we'll have Jenny Boo from Rockridge Secondary School in Vancouver, Canada. And for our second team, they'll be speaking on digital innovation for youth engagement in environmental training. And so for this presentation, we'll be having Connor Mee from Colonel By Secondary School in Ottawa, Chloe Wong from Ernest Manning High School in Calgary, and Bon Chen from Fraser Heights Secondary in British Columbia. And all these people are also from Canada. Thank you. So yeah, let's just have, I don't know, the first team can go first. And yeah, we look forward to your presentation.
Hi, my name is Emily, and these are my teammates Ethan and Jenny. So we've all been working on this presentation in 3 different sections. So I will begin and cover a little bit of humanitarian careers and introduce a little bit more of how GYP is getting youth more involved. Ethan will then go in further into different platforms to discover these humanitarian careers, and Jenny will discuss future trends. So as we know, humanitarian career action saves lives, reduce suffering, and upholds dignity in crisis. In crises, guided by core principles, and humanitarian careers focuses on all of these through either paid or volunteer work. And young people play a vital role in delivering life-saving aid and civic engagement. So how is GYP getting youth involved in humanitarian fields? So GYP has initiated a new project called Humanitarian Career Navigator, which provides tools, advice, and resources to help young people get involved in humanitarian work with the intention of empowering young people through action, participation, training, and publication. And youth are able to explore a variety of fields, including disaster response and emergency relief, refugee and migrant support, and environmental humanitarian action. So a key example would be the Humanitarian Research Club at GYP, which is a vital program within the GYP community. So the Research and Humanitarian Club exemplifies the organization's unwavering dedication to smoothly fusing academic success with social responsibility. And their main goal is to inspire the next generation of caring and committed humanitarians by actively involving students in humanitarian professions. So this could be through research initiatives, educational seminars, or youth-led events, which is all part of their toolkit. So a small introduction within digital innovation. A key example would be the Red Cross Virtual Volunteer Program. It's an online tool that connects young volunteers with humanitarian opportunities, providing real-time information on crises, aid resources, and ways to help. And it allows youth to engage in disaster response, mental health support, and community initiatives remotely through digital means. Other examples could include UNICEF's U Report, which is a chat-based platform where young people can voice concerns on global issues, and AI-driven crisis mapping, where youth help analyze social media data to track disaster impacts. Thank you. So my partner Ethan will now go into more depth in different tools and platforms.
Thank you. So, as my partner Emily previously mentioned, digital innovation is becoming a large part of humanitarian efforts. But how can you take advantage of these digital tools to explore these careers? Well, first of all, we have online platforms for youth engagement. These platforms allow for young people to volunteer, contribute, and gain experience in humanitarian efforts. For example, GYP. We offer valuable opportunities to gain experience in humanitarian work, helping them develop skills, make an impact, and grow as future leaders. There's also Missing Maps, which allows volunteers to contribute to humanitarian efforts by mapping areas affected by disasters using OpenStreetMap. Then there's Relief Web. It's a hub for humanitarian jobs, training, and news, helping you stay informed and finding contributing opportunities. But it's not just these online platforms, but digital learning tools as well. Education is key for humanitarian involvement, so these platforms help young people gain the skills needed to be involved. First of all, there's Coursera. They offer free courses on disaster response, public health, and nonprofit management from universities all around the world. Then there's Kaya Virtual Training Programs, which offers free courses on humanitarian essentials, leadership, and emergency response. Finally, there's edX, which they provide certificates in relevant skills like crisis management and sustainable development. But how has these digital innovations helped improve youth involvement in humanitarian efforts? Well, we can look at Garvita Gulhati. In 2021, Garvita launched the Y-Waste app. This app enabled users to manage their water consumption effectively by calculating their water footprint. Her efforts have reportedly impacted over 10 million individuals and more than 500,000 restaurants, leading to the conservation of nearly 6 million liters of water. Garvita's dedication earned her a spot on Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia list in 2021. Her story highlights the importance of digital innovation through her app, Y-Waste, and how they play a significant role in humanitarian efforts. I'd like to move on to my partner, Jenny.
To move a little bit of this side, I want to include Jenny in this. Yeah, there's a maximum angle. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, this is a maximum already. Okay. Yeah, Jenny, little bit. Yeah, Jenny. Yeah. Okay, great. Great.
Okay, thank you. So looking to the future, there are plenty of new opportunities for use in
Excuse me, Jenny. I want to show your whole face.
Okay.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so moving on, looking to the future, there are plenty of new opportunities for use in humanitarian work. They are developing technologies that are going to help us in service to those who are in need. For example, blockchain is the case in point. It is a technology that creates work with assistance more secure and reliable. It can make sure that the help, money, and resources can arrive at the people who need it. This is a new way of changing the way of aid distribution. Another exciting technology is visual reality, or as we call VR. Visual reality helps people prepare them for disaster situations. With visual reality, you can practice disaster response in a visual setting. This helps you prepare for the real world and learn essential skills without risk. It is a perfect way of preparing and understanding how people in disaster area cope. So, how do you start your humanitarian career today? One way is by taking a visual internship. Organizations now offer online internships where you can learn and make contributions at home. The internships give you opportunity to work on real projects regarding disaster relief and other humanitarian issues. Another method is through the use of LinkedIn to network with individuals who are already employed in humanitarian sectors. You can ask them, gain insights from their experience, and seek opportunities to volunteer or work. Networking on LinkedIn is an excellent means of encountering individuals who can advise you. I want to motivate all of you to take action, learn about online tools, and find out how you can help. So start by learning online, volunteer from home, or using your skills to solve problems. There are many ways to be helpful. The world needs people like you, so do not wait anymore and join us today. And we are sure that you can be part of a movement that changes the world to be better and better. Thank you.
All right, thank you to our first group of student presenters. Next, we'll be having our second team talking to us about digital innovation for youth engagement in environmental training. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name's Connor, and I'm here today with my colleagues Chloe and Bowen. And I'll just be doing a quick introduction of what we'll be talking about today. So together, we'll be sharing our work on the development of an online training program, which is designed to be focused on environmental screening in humanitarian action. This course was made to support anyone interested or already working within humanitarian settings with a particular focus on increasing accessibility for youth. It is being carried out through the online platform Kaya, which is a platform for humanitarian learning. And it features engaging and interactive videos, activities, as well as real-world examples and scenarios to help further enrich this learning experience, especially to be of interest for a more younger audience. So then in just a moment, Chloe will be taking a deeper look into why this digital approach matters, as well as some key features of this course. And then Bowen will explain how digital learning can bridge access gaps around the world, as well as share some of our visions, some of what we hope to accomplish through this project. So now I'll hand it over to Chloe.
Hi everyone, I'm Chloe, and today I'm gonna talk about how digital innovation is changing how we learn and what is essential to prepare youth for humanitarian work, and a brief introduction about the project that we're working on right now. Our goal is to empower youth through digital tools so we can play an active role in humanitarian actions, especially in protecting our environment. So think about it, technology shape how we live, learn, and connect, but are we using it fully to prepare youth for real world humanitarian work? That's a gap that we're working to fill. So digital innovation is essential in environmental training. The traditional method often require travel, time, and money, which the barriers that many young people can't overcome. By going digital, we are removing these barriers. Our team is developing an online course focused on environmental screening in humanitarian actions. It's hosted on Connect, a global learning platform used by humanitarian professionals worldwide. The course is designed to be inclusive access to both young people and experienced aid workers. This ensures that vital environmental knowledge reaches those who need it most, no matter where they are. And what makes this course impactful? So firstly, is self-paced. The learners can move through modules at their own rhythm, and it also include real-world case studies, interactive exercise, and scenario-based learning. This makes the content practical but not theoretical. More importantly, this training gives youth the chance to lead change with accessible learning tools. We're not just participating and we're contributing. We can use this knowledge to push for sustainable practice and part of decisions shaping humanitarian responses. Digital learning is not just a trend and it's a transformative tool for empowerment by providing youth with high equality accessible training. We enable them to contribute meaningfully to humanitarian efforts. And now I'm gonna pass this to Bowen. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just going to share the screen.
Right. Indeed, innovative digital tools are important because of their accessibility and role in shaping youth to skilled advocates for sustainable humanitarian actions and potential decision makers in the field. In fact, these benefits we foresee from digital tools are the reason why Boston Global Youth Philanthropy has dedicated considerable efforts in the past few months to the development of an environmental screening course in Kaya Connect. marking its first step towards digital innovation for youth humanitarian engagement. Hello everyone, my name is Bowen Chen, a grade 11 student from the Canadian High School Fraser Heights Secondary. Today, as a representative from Boston Global Youth Philanthropy, I'm thrilled to present a GYP's environmental screening course in Kaya Connect and its future impact. So, in the current era, scientific methods have gradually become a humanitarian organization's top focus, since its nature of adherence to accuracy can help them to curate practical and meaningful actions that address humanitarian problems. Similarly, environmental screening, a scientific assessment that identifies and prevents potential environmental impacts of humanitarian interventions, is crucial to the sustainability, thus the success of humanitarian efforts in the environmental realm. Therefore, imagine if every humanitarian project included environmental screening, how much better would our global response be? This presentation is split up to two sections. First one is course development and content overview, and the second one is digital innovation and accessibility. First section. So our online course structure is split into 4 modules. The first one, introduction to environmental screening. The second, identify environmental risk in humanitarian settings. The third, applying screening tools and best practices. And the fourth, case studies and real-world applications. Thanks to Kaya Connect's innovative technical support, GYP is able to utilize Kaya accommodative tools such as customized certificates, forums, massive open online courses, interactive content, and more to enhance user engagement, ensuring its accessibility and quality. Yet, this is not the biggest benefit of Kaya Connect. What is it then? Well, the answer is pretty apparent because we have seen it from the digital platform's name many times. Yes, you are right, it is connection. Because of easy accessibility, Kaya Connect is able to connect thousands of youth population worldwide together and engage them into pragmatic humanitarian works with help from its innovative technical support. We don't know if the impact of youth humanitarian assistance is equally significant to that of other humanitarian works in the short run, but we do know that small things create big impacts once they accumulate over time. The massive and active youth population Kaya Connect and other innovative digital platforms connect with can ensure the resilience and continuity of youth humanitarian impacts through generations. And to end this presentation, I'll talk about how our empowerment of youth create lasting impacts. So the environmental screening course provides accessible and practical training for young humanitarians. It fosters global collaborations between thousands of youth humanitarians through online discussion and knowledge sharing. And it also encourages participation in sustainable decision making. And by equipping the next generation of humanitarians with digital tools, we can create a more sustainable and resilient future. Before I end this presentation, I highly encourage like-minded people and organizations to explore Kaya Connect and support youth-led digital innovations. Remember, the fate of youth humanitarian works in today's world depends on the decisions we make today. Just like the slogan of SHAD Canada, a Canadian leading edge university summer program, states, "Let us ignite youth potential and create lasting impacts."
All right, thank you to all of our student presenters. Your presentations are all very insightful, and I look forward to hearing more from your presentations from your projects in the future.
Yeah, I think you probably notice Connor make a shorter presentation. I want to just explain, Connor Me is one of our student board member. He's kind of a team leader, but today he just act as a team leader. Thursday, he's going to join EHAN, Environmental Humanitarian Action Network. So he will make a, more comprehensive presentation, represent our GYP. So, he's outstanding student. He's act as a team leader today. He's going to Thursday event. There's a bigger event. Yeah. Oh, very good.
All right, awesome. So now we'll be moving on to the third part of our session, which is free discussion. And of course, I'll encourage anyone in the audience to share any questions and engage with our presenters today. So yeah, are there any questions?
We get a lot of, sir, would you mind to say a few words? We got a communication before the event, but I did not got to confirm, So thank you very much for coming. Yeah.
Truly my pleasure. I work in the field of GIS. There are 3 global languages in the world: sports, music, and GIS, 2 of which you've heard of. We are currently mapping the history of the Vans Warped Tour. Most of you far too young to be in the mosh pit. But in 1995, there was a little band out of Anaheim, California called No Doubt, a young lady at 17 named Gwen Stefani. The Vans Warped Tour traveled for 25 years, over 3,200 bands, 330 nonprofits went on that tour. We are telling the history of music and punk and emo, Katy Perry, Gwen Stefani, Paramore, No Doubt, Eminem, using topography and GIS. I love the fact that you guys are all so very engaged in environmental issues, but I also stress deploy the language in GIS, build those story maps, and show the topography of where you're going to be doing these fantastic journeys. It's a lot easier to be able to visualize it quickly and absorb it. And then, of course, sprinkle in all that gray matter, that beautiful Mensa technology that you have coming out of your brain. But I am so proud of this room, and I thank you for letting me come and observe. I saw you guys online last year, and I made it a point to be here. And again, I thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate, you follow us for last year, really appreciate.
One small note, there is another gentleman who started posting at 13. He is 26 now. His name is Jimmy Donaldson. You know him as Mr. Beast. He recently he's got 250 million subscribers. We went in there and we took GIS and deployed every one of the boreholes that he drilled in Uganda. So you didn't have a scenario where white boy, black community, brings water, photo ops, and leaves. You come in there and you talk about the cultural significance of the community and how it changed for the greater good by bringing fresh water to the surface. And then, of course, every day, 200 million hours, each day, women and children pour water on their heads and shoulders. So any thoughts that you have to alleviate and emancipate, if this is a suffragist calling for the women of the world to get involved and try to figure out solutions on water portability. So you see this little purple hippo on my hat, that's Hope. And she hopefully is a beacon where you can strive and take all of these passion points and do something for the greater good, again, of the 200 million hours that people pour water on their heads. I'll step off my soapbox.
Thank you so much for those words. So yeah, now we'll be encouraging any questions from the audience or from our student presenters to, our speakers today.
Yeah, especially our guest, if in here, our guest, if you have not get a chance to talk, if you want to make some kind of a statement or, you are welcome to join.
Yeah, go ahead.
I kind of just have a general question for all the guests in this room. So what advice do you have for youth looking to get into humanitarian fields based on your experience and interactions?
Thank you for the question. I guess from my side, as I mentioned, you just should find the way where you see yourself in humanitarian initiatives, what really drives you, and if you have the passion to empower other people and help your community and be this change, then you just need to make first step and find an opportunity that will drive you really. That's what I did actually, because before full-scale invasion in Ukraine, I was working in agriculture company with a project of like corporate social responsibility, and I really loved it. But when something happening like war in your country, you didn't have any other option how to make this shift and pivot and be useful for people in your country with humanitarian initiatives. So I guess there are a lot of really conflicts around the war happening. There are a lot of people who really need our support, and if you have this internal power to provide the support for others, so you just should find the way how you can be useful for these people. That's from my side. Thank you.
Maybe I can just add, I think, volunteer in your local settings. Right? The skills you learn as a volunteer is going to take you quite far. And I think that when we talk about humanitarian action or humanitarian settings and everything else, we run the risk of sort of thinking about us here in Europe or in the West and humanitarian settings somewhere else. But if we see over the last for a decade or so, some of those humanitarian settings, whether it's conflict in Ukraine or whether it's natural disasters, floods, fires, whatever, they're coming to this part of the world. So the skills that you learn in terms of volunteering, whether it's with your local faith organizations or your local Red Cross, these are skills that will help you and enable you to chart a path forward.
Well, I'm going to echo something that actually Thomas Peter said earlier, which is to get good at something. And we're seeing that especially right now. And it's hard to talk about the future generations of the humanitarian sector without also acknowledging the constriction in funding and organization in political awareness and also security and safety of the humanitarian world. And so why do these things go together? Well, I didn't originally plan on becoming humanitarian. I loved event production like concerts and festivals, and that's what I did. And then COVID happened, and there weren't many concerts and festivals to work at. But I volunteered at a conference that was based out of Helsinki, and the conference was in humanitarian logistics and supply chain. And now I'm a few years into that career. I graduated 2 years ago with my master's, and I'm absolutely loving it. That wasn't the plan. I just liked going to concerts. But I'm not the only one with this kind of story, right? You have people who I have colleagues who are really interested in law. They did some sort of humanitarian law, and then they stepped away and are doing private law, and then they are they volunteer in their local area. There's humanitarian designers who are graphic designers who are at this conference. There was one on a panel this morning he works for the European Union. He has some other jobs, but in his free time is developing a community of artists who are working with humanitarians. Right, especially as we look towards a future where funding may or may not be as consistent as it has been, we start to see a world where you rely on community-led initiatives by default, right? You require people from Ukraine having networks globally to bring it all together, right? I remember last year there was a presentation with Global Youth Philanthropy on Girls for Change, right, where you connected really closely with women and girls all over the world to develop their communities. And so that's really what I can say is get good at something, and whether you do it for your career or in your free time, just a way to impact, you'll make a difference.
Kato is a great dancer. Yeah, he connect a lot of people, from his hobby. Yes, he's a great. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that question. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your wonderful sharing. And I have two questions. One goes to Thomas. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Yes. So just a little bit of background, self-introduction. My name is Maria. I'm doing an internship with OCHA, APMB. And so my question would be, given that humanitarian work is often project-based with short-term contracts, how can young professionals strategically plan their careers to avoid getting stuck in the cycle of internship, temporary positions? Maybe you could share a little bit of your personal experience as well. And the second one, it's a bit direct question for all of you. I wish I could hear something from your perspective. What does the future UN funding look like? Do you see any emerging models or innovative approaches? I know it's a very broad, big question, but me, myself, as a young professional, I used to work for UNDP and then as a full-time, and then I did my master's program and starting over again from the internship. So it's a very real question. So yeah, the two questions. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question was addressed to me, so I take the floor. So it's not there's no easy answer because everybody is different and every organization works differently. But as far as our section where I work or our branch is working, we use a lot of interns to accompany our projects. And this is, we always had interns, but now we have many interns in our projects, partly because over the years our funding has been drying out, and in OCHA, unfortunately for the interns and fortunately for us, we don't pay anything, so we can just hire them for 3 months, up to 6 months. So that's a good starting point. And also because we have reduced staff in many areas, the interns have fairly interesting activities because they actually run the projects partly with very little supervision, but they do the bulk of the heavy lifting. And once this is finished, occasionally we have, depending again on the funding situation, opportunities, which is very carefully examined by our management because it is not very much liked the way, but we very often recruit the interns for consultancies afterwards to continue and follow up with certain activities. In this consultancy business, in my view, is not a very, it's good because you have another few months or another month maybe added on, but in the United Nations system, it blocks you because you cannot apply for posts. If you worked as a consultant, you have to wait a certain period. And it also closes the door for other opportunities for looking around and exploring other pastures, let's say. So that's one thing. And I've also seen many interns who worked here at the Partnerships Week. I mean, I can only tell you from my horizon, what I have in front of me, that many of them, and here I come back to this passion thing and being good at something and being engaged in something, those passionate ones very often find employments through the networking here. So it is not because, as I said in my earlier statement, it is not when you go to someone with your CV and dish it out and say, do you have a job for me? The market is full of these kind of things. And as a hiring manager or someone who looks for experts to support in a project, this is not really leading anywhere. It's not a good choice. So what you have to do is engage in the discussion, present yourself, show interest or be interested, not fake it, and then it sometimes opens the doors automatically. So if I may, for the second discussion, because for the financial situation, I think nobody has the answer. We have a session on Wednesday, which is what we call a keynote session, where no other session is hosted, and this is in the plenary, where we have a panel discussion of the future of humanitarian aid or future of the humanitarian sector, where I think this issue will be discussed because it's very present now. So I think we can make a few guesses, but I think nobody comes close to an answer. We only hope that it goes away as it came, and it will go away, but we don't know when. Thank you.
I know this is a OCHA and UN organized and promoted event, but it is also possible to be humanitarian in other ways, right? One of my passions is board games, right? Gamification of trainings, huge theme, right? And so there's an organization that's often here, Imaginetic, that I met year over year, and it turns out we both liked playing board games, and then I joined them for about 6 months to work on a project with another organization, right? I wasn't working for a UN organization, but I was able to work on my passion projects through them and with them. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of satellite organizations that work through UN funding, through EU funding, through private funding, right, that are also offering opportunities. And I know it can be difficult sometimes to find those opportunities, which is what helps to be here, to meet people, get on their LinkedIn feed, right, see what they're posting. I know Global Youth Philanthropy is putting up a career portal. Next to Humanitarians, we are also putting on resources based on your interest, based on your background, to try to find those opportunities, because it isn't known exactly what the UN humanitarian space will look like. We do know that there's lots of organizations all across the spectrum that will be looking for talented and good-hearted people who want to do good.
Yeah, before we close, I just use this opportunity, make a very short announcement to all of our guests. We are Boston Global GYP is constantly looking for advisor and also the mentor for our student, young people. So I probably, just later contact, our all of guests here. We really appreciate if you can, help us in any kind of way. We're quite flexible. Any kind of way to be our advisor, to tell us, how to help young people, and at the same time to be a mentor for our students. We don't have too much time, but we have a very excellent question. I think probably people have more question, but for time constraint, we cannot talk too much. But in the future, we hope our guests can be our mentor for our student to help student to grow and to become better.
So are there any other questions or remarks that you guys would like to make before we close this session?
No online questions.
Okay, well, if not, then thank you all for coming, and thank you all for your wonderful presentations, and this session is closed.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think everybody.